Hello. It is I, once again, the Bruce Wayne of Azure Lane. OG Investigator back at it again for another Azure Lane video. And I'm going to tell you right now, this is actually the hardest video I have ever had to make. And the reason for that is because there are so many light cruisers with so many different skills. It's hard to decide which is the top 10 out of all of them. So I will let you know in advance. I will preface this video by saying, if you have a different opinion on this, I don't blame you. But these light cruisers, there's so many different ones with so many different uses and all these niches that come in handy. So what I decided to do is, this is going to be the first video with honorable mentions. And yeah, this was not hard. This was not easy to decide on, but I'll just get right into it. So coming in at number 10, Jeanne d'Arc. I love the French baguette. Ha 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 ha. If you're French and you just saw that, I'm sorry. Anyway, so Jeanne d'Arc is actually in terms of raw stats, she's just an okay light cruiser. Like okay health, okay firepower, okay torpedoes. Her actual damage output is mediocre. But if you go to her skills, so increases own damage dealt to Royal Navy ships by 10%. Upon entering battle, inflict a special burn on self that lasts for 30 seconds. It has the following properties. The special burn deals 8 damage to this ship every 3 seconds. Just so you know, that's very low. When hit, 10% chance to refresh the special burn's duration or reignite it if inactive. While the special burn is active, increase this ship's firepower, torpedo, anti-air, and evasion stats by 20%. Now, that's a decent self buff. Even with that buff, she's not exactly an astounding damage dealer. She can do some damage. But if you go to her second skill, Holy Prayer, 10 seconds after the battle starts and every 20 seconds after that, give each Vanguard ship an HP barrier. Each barrier can block up to 6% of Jeanne's maximum HP and lasts up to 8 seconds. If a ship's barrier breaks before its duration expires, that ship will become invincible for 2 seconds. If a ship's barrier expires without breaking, heal that ship for 70 points. Now, the more health equipment you put on Jeanne d'Arc, the more powerful that barrier gets. But she is still, after all this time since she has been released, a top-notch ship for protecting your Vanguard. So I've never, throughout all the content of the game, I have never found a situation where she is not useful and also not effective. She's always effective and she's always useful. So Jeanne d'Arc, reliable and dependable and a very good Vanguard defender, coming in at number 10. Now let's move on to number 8, Helena Meta. So if you go to Helena Meta, her stats are roughly comparable to, I would say, roughly comparable to a Cleveland class. Actually, she has slightly higher gun efficiency and mediocre secondary gun efficiency. But if you go to her skills, Shadow Torch or Shadow Wing Torch, every 20 seconds fires a special barrage. Enemies hit by this barrage have a 30% chance to receive a debuff, which increases their damage taken by 10% for 5 seconds. If this ship has any piece of Eagle Union gear equipped, fire this barrage every 15 seconds instead. Now, this barrage is a homing barrage. So it shoots out projectiles, and then each of the projectiles will go find a target and hit it. So she has a very high hit rate. That's very important. Scanner hacking. Increase this ship's firepower and accuracy by 15%. Every 15 seconds, 100% chance to spawn a zone on the battlefield. Enemies inside the zone when it spawns have their speed set to 0 for 3 seconds. That is a decent skill. It's very good at trapping opponents so you can shoot them, but it's kind of like, I would say, if they don't go into the barrier, or if they don't go into the zone, the skill doesn't really matter. But you can almost always count on at least someone going into the zone. Now, increase this ship's armor modifier against light armor by 15%. When this ship is sortied with Helena or Lena, decrease this ship's damage taken by 18%. When sortied with neither Helena nor Lena, increase this ship's EVA by 15%. And decrease all damage taken by the lead ship in your vanguard by 5%. That is very valuable. So she has considerably high durability because of this skill. And she makes your main tank tankier by 5%. That's very good. So she has all these unique skills that add buffs to herself, to the vanguard, and debuffs to the enemy. And her barrage is homing. So that's a very good and useful light cruiser. You'll never run out of situations where you can use this light cruiser and it will be effective. Yeah. All right, onward to number 8. I'm not sure I'm pronouncing this right, but I'll just give it my best shot. Duca degli Abruzzi. Now, this Italian pasta will kill you in PvP, as I have found out many times. But Duca degli Abruzzi, she actually has a very good gun stat and very high torp stat. She has a good gun, but she is definitely a torpedo-focused light cruiser. And yeah, if you go down to her torpedo efficiency, it is at 160%. And she comes with preloaded torps, so she is a torpedo beast. And then you go to her skills, Halo of Flames. At the start of the battle, increases this ship's AA, EVA, and accuracy by 15% for 60 seconds. 60 seconds is an eternity in Azur Lane. When this ship fires her torpedoes, 70% chance to fire a special barrage. The barrage actually is pretty good too. Decent damage. Reduce Solemn Zealotry. Reduces the speed of torpedoes fired by this ship by 10 knots. Increases torpedo crit rate by 40%. Torpedo crit damage by 40%. And decreases the loading time of the first torpedo salvo by 50%. So this skill, the slowing down of her torpedoes, it dramatically increases the chances that they are going to hit. And her torpedoes do devastating damage. It's crippling. In fact, if you fight her in PvP, you probably already know. Okay, I hate facing this ship in PvP. Every time I go through PvP and I see one of these, I'm like, you son of a... Anyway, next skill. Just a scratch. Reduces the AP damage this ship takes by 20%, and the torp damage taken by the frontmost ship in your vanguard by 8%. Once per battle, when this ship falls under 30% HP as a result of damage taken, creates a shield and restores 3% of max HP every 3 seconds for the next 10 seconds. The shield blocks up to 5 torpedoes and lasts up to 10 seconds. That is a very, very useful tanky skill, and basically improves the survivability of your vanguard in all kinds of situations, but especially against torpedoes. Now, let me ask you, in Azur Lane, how often do you think you're going to be facing torpedoes? Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So, highly, highly recommended to raise this Italian pasta. Now, number 7, Bologna. This is the only elite to make it on the list. So Bologna is a Ditto class light cruiser, which means she has spectacular anti-air and sort of okay health, solid guns, and very bad torps. Her torpedoes are almost insignificant. But she can equip a DD gun in her first slot, so her DPS can go up, and that's highly valuable. DD guns have more DPS than light cruiser guns because they fire so fast. Now, if you go to her skills, throwing down the gauntlet increases this ship's AA and EVA by 20%. When the battle starts, if there are 3 or more Royal Navy ships in your fleet, increases this ship's AA gun efficiency by 15% and increases your Royal Navy DD's AA by 15%. So, she actually is very, very good at AA support. But her second skill is the most important. Air raid assistance increases the damage of all your carriers by 15% as long as this ship is afloat. This is the most survivable ship in the game with air raid assistance, and that is valuable. That is incredibly valuable if you are a carrier player, which I am. And I have used Bologna countless times with my Royal Navy fleet. She has never let me down. So, highly recommended Bologna. This utility with the air raid assistance skill is, I mean, if you use carriers, this ship is invaluable. Onward to number 6, Noshiro. So, Noshiro, in spite of everything and how long ago she was released, is still one of the top best light cruisers. So if you go to her health is more than okay. She does have decent firepower, and her gun is just okay, really. But she is heavily focused on torpedoes. She has 175% torpedo efficiency. That is even higher than that's higher than Shimakaze even. So, and her torp stat is extremely strong, but it's nowhere near Shimakaze's. And she has decent AA. But if you go to her skills, Noshiro's Hoarfrost. While this ship is afloat, increases this ship's evasion rate by 15% and decreases the torpedo damage your Vanguard takes by 20%. Once again, how many times in Azur Lane do you think you will be facing torpedoes? Yeah, exactly. That's why this ship is incredibly tanky and has never run out of reasons to use it. And then her next skill, Sky Slayer's Edge. Increases the damage this ship deals to enemy CVs and CVLs by 20%. While this ship is afloat, increases the torpedo of your Vanguard by 20%. Also increases Vanguard's crit rate by 12%. Dang. So she protects her Vanguard from torpedoes, and then she boosts their torpedoes. And she is incredibly tanky. She's one of the tankiest light cruisers there is. Highly recommended. Onward to number 5, Mainz. If you go to Mainz, And I don't know why her wiki page is weird for some reason. But she has incredibly high health and medium armor. So she is one of, if not the most tanky light cruisers in the game. She also has like a very good firepower. It's really not exceedingly good. It's not exceptionally good. It's just good. But she also has torpedoes on top of that. Yeah, and she has like, very good gun efficiency here too. So you go to her skills, retaliatory shield. Every 15 seconds, deploy a shield in front of this ship that lasts for up to 8 seconds and can block up to 6 enemy shells. If this ship is destroyed, or if this shield is destroyed, before it expires, fires a special barrage and increases this ship's firepower and accuracy by 8% until the end of the battle. This buff can be stacked twice. So it is better if the shield deploys in front of the ship rather than the shield deploy rotatingly. Because if the shield deploys in front of the ship, it's more likely to just protect the shots that would normally hit the ship. Whereas rotating shields, sometimes they collect shots that aren't even going to hit your ship. But, yeah, on to her next skill. Her fate simulation, and I'm going to butcher this. Ausgewogen. German is a hard language. Apply all of the following buffs regardless of this ship's position. Increases this ship's speed by 5 and EVA by 12%, and decrease its damage taken by 15% for the first 60 seconds of the battle. 60 seconds is an eternity. Increase this ship's critical damage by 25%. Every 15 seconds, 70% chance to fire an enhanced special barrage. Damage scales with the skill level. So, she deals out an impressive amount of damage because she has 2 barrages. And then on top of that, she has the Siren Killer skill. And medium armor and high health means she is basically a light cruiser that's kind of trying to be a heavy cruiser. She's incredibly powerful, though. Mainz. Highly recommended. Onward to number 4, Harbin. Now, if you go to Harbin, she is a PR light cruiser, Dragon Emperor. Basically got one super good ship, and this was it. So you go to her health, and it's actually pretty good. It's not in okay. So her health is not exceptionally good. Now I think about it, it's like she can survive some things, but her firepower is good. Torpedo is high, and she has very high AA. And then you go down, and you see she has 150 efficiency on her torpedoes and 130 on a DD gun, but it's a DD gun with main gun mount +1, and she has preloaded torpedoes. So she has lots of DD gun fire and torpedoes. So she'll dish out a bunch of weapons. Impactful torpedoes, her first skill. This ship takes 10% damage, or 10% less damage from torpedoes, increases armor modifier against heavy armor with this ship's equipped torpedoes by 20%, and increases the torpedo and missile damage dealt by Dragon Emperor destroyers and guided missile destroyers. And Cheng Chun. In the fleet by 12%. She's clearly meant to be sorted with those two. When this ship fires her torpedoes, creates a smoke screen for 3 seconds that increases evasion rate by 35% and decreases damage taken from enemy aircraft by 35% for all your ships inside it. This effect does not stack with other smoke screens. After 3 seconds, 100% chance to launch an additional wave of torpedoes and trigger this smoke screen effect again. So she helps protect your vanguard pretty well with this smoke screen. But she's also, her torpedoes are very good on heavy armor. And she can tank quite a few torpedoes herself. Now you go down to her next skill, Blazing Battle Dance. Every 20 seconds, 100% chance to launch a special barrage. When this ship takes damage, 20% chance to increase this ship's firepower in AA by 4% and torpedo by 5%. So she has like a lot of, she does deal out an astounding amount of damage, mainly because of her DD gun, main gun +1, high power torpedoes, and she has barrages. So, I mean, this is a very powerful, and she does the 15% more damage to sirens because she's got a siren killer skill. So, this light cruiser, I have never run out of reasons to use this light cruiser. It's effective in most content of the game, even when not sortied with Anshan and Chang Chun. So, very solid, high damage light cruiser. So, Harbin for you guys. Now, on to number 3. San Diego Retrofit. Watashi wa number 1. Hi. Okay, so. San Diego Retrofit, despite being so old in the game-wise, is still one of the best light cruisers in the game. Because she was one of the first, destroyers to have main gun mount +1. Or not destroyers. Light cruisers to have a destroyer gun that had main gun mount +1. And she has pretty good gun efficiency. It's not as high as Harbin's. And but it is high on its own. And she has the highest AA stat in the game. But even when there are no enemy aircraft, although when there are enemy aircraft, she will turn them to dust. But even when there are no enemy aircraft, she still deals an astounding amount of damage. Mainly because she has a 100% barrage. Here's the Retrofit Sparkling Battlestar skill. So increases own anti-air stat by 25%. Every 20 seconds, 100% chance to release a powerful barrage. And that barrage is a bunch of stars. And those stars are actually pretty good because they sort of home. So they have a high hit rate. And they do a fair amount of damage. And it's a lot of stars. You'll see the stars. They're impossible to miss. And then her first skill, which I don't really think needs an introduction. So she basically raises AA for everybody for 50%. Yeah. Sandy Retrofit. Still at in the top of the light cruiser game. Even after this amount of time. So highly, highly recommended. Get her and retrofit her as soon as you can if you are new to the game. Get her stat. Number 2, Helena Retrofit, which I don't think this is really a surprise to anybody. I mean, Helena has, so her survivability really is, I would say, good enough to last as long as you would most likely need her to survive. But her skill, the Radar Scan Plus, is the most damage debuffing skill in the whole game if you can get it to activate. So, every 20 seconds, 60% chance to apply a debuff to all on-screen enemies, increasing the damage they take by 40% for 10 seconds. When this ship has an SG radar equipped, increases this ship's EVA by 10%, and this skill attempts to activate 16 seconds after the beginning of combat instead of 20 seconds. Next skill, Refit the Wonder of Kalai Gulf. Decreases this ship's torpedo damage taken by 15%. Again, how many times do you think you're going to be facing torpedoes? in Azur Lane. At the start of the battle, if there are 3 ships afloat in your vanguard and there is an Eagle Union ship in the backmost position, increases that ship's EVA by 12%. That's a solid buff for Eagle Union ships at the back. But that radar scan plus the greatest debuff in the whole game. This makes Helena invaluable since she was retrofitted. I mean, it was really ever since she was introduced into the game. But once she got her retrofit, she has never, I would say, lost any of her meta-ness in terms of being one of the best ships in the game as far as using in any content. That skill can be used effectively in all content of the game, and it's probably, I would argue, maybe the best support skill in the game. It is the best support skill in the game. So Helena Retrofit. Number 2. And now for the honorable mentions. Let's go. Okay, so these were closely considered for the list, but I chose what I chose, and I'm not sorry. I know what I did, and I'm pretty sure my choices were right. But if you have a different opinion, I understand. I don't blame you. So, coming in at number 9 for honorable mentions, and this is in no particular order, Juneo. Juneo is pretty much I would say she's now targeted specifically towards PvP, but she does come with main gun mount +1, and her skill is that when she sinks, she does restore an incredibly large amount of health for all ships in your fleet, even though I will say this, if you use her without oathing her, I think that's criminal. I know there's a lot of people that feel a type of way about that skill, and I'm kind of one of them, I think. That's just me. But number 8, Belfast. So after she got her augment, she got a full level up that makes her an incredibly solid damage dealer. Like, she already had the smokescreen skill, but yeah, her ability to damage targets with an HE gun, and now she does increased damage to targets on fire by 15%. She got a huge upgrade with that augment. I don't think it's enough to put her in the top 10, but Belfast now with the augment, incredibly good. Number 7, in no particular order, by the way, Sirius. Sirius brings great support to carriers, and she has a solid buff for herself. She has good destroyer guns, good destroyer efficiency, and she's also a very solid anti-airship. So she has many, many uses. I don't think she's worth of the top 10, but I will give her an honorable mention. Montpellier, ever since she got her augment, Montpellier she can now pretty much be a main tank, because she has 15% damage reduction for herself, and she's a Cleveland. That's pretty good. Not quite good enough to be in the top 10, and her other skills are not they're not reliable enough to be counted on all the time. But I would say she's a solid ship. Definitely worthy of an honorable mention. Next, Emden. Now, Emden can be equipped with either a destroyer gun or a light cruiser gun in her second slot. But if you put a destroyer gun in her second slot, she's like super tanky. The problem is, if you put a light cruiser gun in her next slot or in her second slot, she deals astounding amounts of damage, and she's very good for buffing the Iron Blood, because the Iron Blood has 2 UR battleships. Iron Blood has very powerful battleships, and then they have Augur, and she gives a very powerful firepower buff to all those ships. So Emden is highly useful for Iron Blood users. The problem is she's slow. Since she's a World War I ship, she is slow, and using her will slow down your whole vanguard. But otherwise, she is actually very good and very powerful. Number 4, in no particular order, Jinsu. So Jinsu has all kinds of utility for dishing out torpedo damage and buffing your vanguard. She is, I would say, one of the more useful light cruisers in the game. I'm not quite sure she beats out the other utility of the ships I put in the top 10, though. But she is a solid choice. And I would say she's so far never run out of like situations you could use her in, because you always find a reason to use her skills. So Jinsu, solid choice. And number 3, Kubyshev. Kubyshev is actually a very powerful ship. So she gives this very nice crit buff to Northern Parliament vanguards. And she has a sort of zombie skill where she heals herself. And she has very good, like, I would say her stats are comparable to a Cleveland, but they're just a hair above the Clevelands. So she is one of the best gunnery-focused light cruisers, and definitely worth a honorable mention. Next, Nuremberg. I put her on this list for no other reason than that she is primetime waifu material. Yeah, highly recommended. Also very good for supporting, Iron Blood through World 13, because I did use her for that. So very good AA ship, primetime waifu material. And number 1, which should come as no surprise to everybody if you've been watching my videos, Biloxi, but pretty much any Cleveland. Biloxi is the top tier of waifu material to me. So I would just like to say, in all practicality, she is a solid ship. All the Clevelands really are solid ships. The problem is there's just really no, unless you are using one of them with independence, there is no real reason to use a Cleveland. I mean, they're good all-around ships, but they're only able to be used to their maximum effectiveness and in a way that's meaningful when sorting a Cleveland with independence. Having said that, Biloxi is top-tier waifu material. I just thought I would put that there. Anyway, and now on to the number 1 light cruiser. Drum roll, please. And I forgot I have no drums. Biloxi. No, I'm kidding. It's Plymouth. This should become as no surprise, really, to anyone. Plymouth is an absolute freak of nature when it comes to being a light cruiser. She is a beast among beasts. So her health is astoundingly high for a light cruiser. It's ridiculously high. She's a super tank. And then she has incredibly ridiculous firepower. She has incredibly good torpedoes. She has astounding AA. Is there anything this ship is not good at? You gotta wonder. So you go down to her skills, and this is the shining thing that makes her so unique. She has main gun mount +2. So her gun, her whatever gun she uses, it's just gonna be throwing rounds downrange non-stop. And it's like pretty good gun efficiency at 120. And then her torpedoes is 165 efficiency. So even her torpedoes are incredibly good damage dealers. And now you get to her skills. And then here are the skills, man. This ship is like almost unfair. So Rejoice in Radiance. When the battle starts, increases this ship's firepower and accuracy by 12%. If sorted with another Royal Navy ship, or if this ship has Royal Navy gear equipped, increases this ship's EVA by 15%. Highly tanky. Pathfinder's Shroud. Every 10 seconds, fires a special barrage. Damage is based on the skills level. Becomes shrouded for 5 seconds. While shrouded, this ship takes 10% less damage. Upon becoming shrouded for the 3rd time, she also restores 10% of her max HP. Enemies hit by this barrage become exposed for 10 seconds. Exposed enemies take 18% increased damage from your flagship if she is a battleship, battle cruiser, or aviation battleship. So once again, did I mention she was tanky? She is incredibly, like, for a light cruiser, this is tanky. And then she buffs her battleship's damage to a bunch of enemies all at once. And here's another thing. Her barrage, it is a homing barrage. So it's virtually never misses. I've actually never seen it miss so far. So and if your flagship is a battleship, it's going to be, especially a UR battleship like Vanguard, your fleet is just going to be dealing out tons of damage. And I have seen this light cruiser deal more damage than like some whole Vanguards combined. So, Plymouth, a beast among beasts. Like, don't let the angelic cute looks fool you, guys, because this is an angel of death. Highly, highly recommended. Anyway, those are my top 10 light cruisers. I am very interested in your opinions on this video. Please tell me what you think in the comments section below. And if you like my content, please like and subscribe. This is OG Investigator signing out. And I hope you all guys take care. Farewell and following seas, my fellow Shikikans.